Hi, Andreas.
Hi.
Yeah, I was like worried, like, do I have the wrong Zoom invitation or whatever? Because it's,
there are no people today showing up.
Yeah, it's, you know, they changed the policy to enforce password, and I don't know if everyone have the updated invitation. Let me put it on Slack. Seeing you here makes me think we're in the right room.
So in parallel, we always have our Captain community meeting, and we also do this using Zoom, and we frequently got Zoom bombed now. It's really annoying. So a password totally makes sense.
Yeah, I see Tracy on Slack talking about
James
invitation.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Tracy. Thanks for fixing the invite.
I kind of messed it up, but I've hacked it for now. But I think because we hadn't updated the passcode on Zoom, it dumped the meeting. And I went to reinstall it, and it's only done it from the next one. But I've got a patch, so hopefully.
Okay, so this is the right, or this is the one we will be using for upcoming meetings, yeah?
Yes, with the passcode encoded, but it should still be one click for most folks. People have found us, so this is good.
I will put this link
to... I was coming into the channel to say I can't find the password, and there was the link.
So,
excellent.
You can see my screen, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, so I put the new link there. So
great, that works.
So as usual, while we wait others to find their way to the meeting, we can add our names to participants list. Okay. The agenda was updated comparing to what I sent to mail list. So let me quickly go through the topics on the agenda. The first topic is, as usual, action item review, followed by CDCon. And Trace, I hope you can talk about this because I put your name there. And yes, the next topic, yeah, thanks. And the next topic is on CDCon as well, but this time on interoperability burst of a feather session. And Tracy, again, if you can walk us through how the session format is about and links there. And then, as usual, we will continue talking about the interoperability white paper. As discussed during the previous meetings, we will focus on interoperability aspects rather than the definitions of CI/CD. And then we can talk about the background of that because some people weren't in those meetings. And if you have any topics you want to bring up, you can add that to agenda and we will try to talk about those. So we have 8 people, which seems we have people successfully found the meeting ID. So we can start with action items. And the first item is this Zoom thing, Tracy, and I see you updated the invitation, which makes me think we can close the item and the issue.
Yeah, it should be okay from next week. They gave me access. I broke everything, but I think it's good now.
Okay, so let me close that action item.
And just a quick question. Fatty, do you have access to either the calendar or the Zoom? Because
No.
No. Okay, I will try and see get you access to one or the other or both.
Yeah, I think if you can give access to Kara as well, so you know if one of us is not available, the other can take it over, like fix what needs fixing.
Okay. But if you start the meeting with the link, then it will start. Is that how it works? Like you don't, because I didn't start the meeting, so yeah. I guess it's set up that anyone can run it.
Yeah, when I joined, it started, and then Andreas joined, which means things working fine, I suppose. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, I'll still see if we can get you some access to stuff.
Oh, we don't have Christy here, but we have Cameron. So kind of, Cameron, you and Christy started this new document about CI/CD definitions, and you missed the earlier meeting, so I can summarize this. The idea was to, take the existing work, move that work to the new document. So the work Tracy will start soon can take that input as well to that new white paper work on definitions. So all this stuff, we can move them to the new document.
Sweet. Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah. So I add you as well, Christy and Cameron, and keep the action item open. And the last action item is similar to this action item. Tracy Miranda will look at Christy's work and Tracy Regan's definitions. We can close it since you already start looking at it. Tracy, I've seen it on the document Christy and Cameron started.
Yeah, and just as a follow-up, we'll do this via the talk, but we'll kick off not a special interest group, but a working group, just to come together, set out those definitions. I think we're looking at a white paper around continuous delivery and its benefits. And then that group will work towards that. And once it's done, then we wind down the group. But if anybody's interested, just reach out to me. I'll make sure you're on the invites and any documents we spin up.
Okay, good. So let me mark this as well. Good. It's always good to close action items. So these were the action items from previous week, and the next topic is on CDCon, which is happening next week. Tracy?
Yes. So there's been just a lot of activity. We made a few big changes, so I just wanted to highlight those. So first of all, we had been asking for donations for people to register, and then we had this was a bit of a barrier to people signing up. So these are now optional. So yep, it's pretty open. Everyone can sign up. If you want to make a donation to some of our causes, that's great, but don't let that stop you from registering. And that's been really good because now we're suddenly seeing the registration shoot up. So yeah, I think we're well on track for 1,000 attendees next week. And we also made the changes to the program so it would start earlier, especially for folks in Europe. We've kept the keynotes at the same time, but there'll be sessions kicking off a bit more reasonably. And we added in a whole bunch of interactive sessions, so where folks could, just try to get together with community and focus on themes. So birds of a feather sessions, one for each project, and then one for this SIG and one for the MLOps SIG. So that takes us into the next agenda item. We will have about 30 minutes in the conference platform where we'll say, okay, this is a birds of a feather informal discussion for the interoperability SIG. We'll invite people to just jump in. They can either go on camera like Zoom, or they can just hang out in the chat. But we'd like a couple of folks from this group, or well, as many as possible, to be on hand there to welcome folks, just point them to some of the things we've done and figure out a way to onboard them. But you can also feel free to use it as a way to get together and carry on some of these discussions.
Thanks for that, Tracy. And I read the document, this document you put there, and following the advice you put here. So I created this HackMD document, which is linked on the meeting minutes as well. It's simply like, it looks like regular meeting minutes, but like participants, so we can capture who joined and we can try to reach out to them if they have shown interest during the session. And also some topics, and please feel free to update the topics like basic, simple welcome, so we can ask everyone who is there and why they are there, and to allow people to speak. And then we can also, like, people coming from the SIG can also talk about what this special interest group interoperability is about. So we give some background information to people, how to join, collaborate, and contribute, so people can click right during the session and bring them to Slack or mail list, and also where to find more information, link to GitHub. And depending on how the conversation goes, and if there is quiet, if people are silent, we can talk about our progress, like vocabulary stuff and the roadmap and the work stream, like trying to get people speak up. And if it doesn't help, then we can continue talking about the ongoing work, like the events in CICD. And I hope Ravi, Andreas, Emil, you can join to the session, helping people understand what this work stream is about. And then white paper could be another topic to discuss. And then we can, reusable libraries, we can talk about that as well, hoping that people have similar ideas about like having a place for bringing those things which CDF provides, followed by an open discussion where people can ask questions and bring up ideas. I hope this is good.
Yeah, that looks very substantial. And what I can do is I can have this document linked from the agenda as well. So when people go to look at the session, they see they link over to this, and they can start getting involved straight away. So yeah, okay. Please assign me that action item.
Session, I don't know what to call. Okay, yeah, that would be great, so people can click right when they join. So, and the other thing was in this document, where was that? Looking for volunteers. So I signed up, but it would be great if others could sign up as well. So if train hits me, someone else can help the others during the session. So this is the, I can put the link to chat. There's the chat. Find the chat, yeah. So if you can sign up 1 or 2 more people, that would help a lot. Because I am feeling insecure right at the moment. Okay, anyone wants to talk about both CDCon or the session we have for the SIG?
I think from that, to check the dates a second. I think it was the Jenkins X one, I think is the same time as the Interop one, which is fine. I just wanted to make sure I got that right.
Yeah, they are that's overlapping. Yeah, they both start on Wednesday.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, there's my excuse for not being there, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. Unfortunately, we had a lot of groups who kind of wanted the earlier time, so yeah.
Oh, it's totally fine. Yeah, and if we finish early or something, which I'll jump straight across, and it's all good. We're happy to have the buff for Jenkins X. It's great.
Okay, so you know where the hack MD document for the session is. They're all linked on the agenda. The document to sign up as volunteer is on the agenda as well. And thanks, Dave, for signing up. And the schedule, this is the Birds of Feather sessions for all the ones scheduled. Like we have from projects, all projects under CDF have both sessions. And we have MLOps session as well. And that's this topic. Okay, maybe before we move to the white paper topic, because we have lots of things to discuss based on previous weeks. Is there anyone who wants to bring up a different topic? So we covered that. Okay, then we move to the white paper topic. So I think we started this work during August. Now we are almost 2 months. We are working with this document. And I think we have ideas about some chapters, like the definitions, as we discussed during previous meetings, and as noted here. We realize this is an area CDF should put an effort and contribute to domain the definitions. And while that work starts to happen, we can look at the existing material. I think we got material from Tracy Reagan during previous meeting. So we can take some definitions from this document and put them there as placeholders. And if by the time we have the white paper, interoperability white paper is ready, and if the CICD definition workstream has something, we can perhaps take some stuff from that document and replace what we have here. And then CDF needs to schedule these white papers in right order so we don't spoil the definition white paper. So that is, yeah.
So one thing I just want to say, and this is building on a bit of the discussion we had last time, but I know a bunch of folks weren't there. So like Christy Wilson, myself and Tracy Reagan, we've been kind of tossing this around a bit. And one of the things that's emerging, and I think this will be the direction I want CDF to take, is just moving away from the term CICD for starters. So I don't know if folks, so I wrote a blog post about what a terrible term it is and why. And so instead of that, we're leaning towards saying, you know, let's use the term continuous delivery as this overarching umbrella for CI, version control, automated deploys, security, and that's pretty consistent with the Accelerate book and how they talk about continuous delivery. So I think we'll be really moving that direction and sharing a lot more about kind of all these different things. And that's where Tracy Reagan brought in the landscape we have. You know, there is no one tool on that landscape, which is a continuous delivery tool. It's all these different things that come together to help us deliver software in a continuous way. So I think for this white paper, it's fine, but just as a heads up down the line, I think we're going to kind of purge the CI/CD term and just use CD.
I see you're delivering this news when Ravi's not in the meeting.
He was there 2 weeks ago, to be fair. And yeah, no, I think we as I say, we're spinning up this group, and we're just going to be writing some blog posts and things to get feedback and to hear what people think. But I think, who was it? Owen Adams in the ambassador group, he's just saying, you know, the CI/CD, people think it's you do CI and then you do CD and you're done, and it kind of either oversimplifies the problem or makes you think of these silos. And really, it's just all these practices that need to come together under this one umbrella. So yeah, read the post, and I really love any thoughts, and whether you agree, disagree. I think it's all part of us figuring this out together.
For what it's worth, I think that's great. I think we've really, as we've been getting more automation and pushing things left a lot more than we've, you know, those boundaries that we've kind of put up previously in previous years are kind of getting a little bit more blurry. It's about delivering software. We're having, you know, the shifting left is we're having automated deployments into there, we're deploying code, we're having running tests, we're maybe sharing some traffic in between them as well. So we're getting, I think it's a great idea to kind of have that as an overarching, you know, effort of continuous delivery, and then within that there's lots of other areas that and practices which I'm sure will fall out of it.
Yeah, and then we want to just establish those practices, have a way of sort of saying, okay, this is where the cutting edge of the industry is, this is where most people are, here's how you figure out how to get better and better in each of these things, and just evaluate yourselves. But you know, everything is about just improving steadily in the different areas. Any other thoughts, visceral reactions? Dave?
Yeah, I was going to say, Tracy, I think I think you tweeted about this blog post and I was looking at the replies you received. Some people weren't so, how to say, positive to your blog posts. Any feedback or any reflections? Because it is difficult, you know, changing people from using CI/CD to continuous delivery, and you directly got feedback from people.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Like, I think, like, I'm under no delusions that we're going to completely get rid of the term, but I think if CDF wants to be a place driving for clarity and really helping people get better, then we need to be consistent internally and just set out what we mean by the different terms and how that's going to influence what we're building going forward and how it's all going to fit together.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so joking about Ravi's response, you know, about a month ago or so, but it's like, I think you have about half the industry that thinks of these terms one way and about half that thinks of these terms in another way, or maybe it's not half and half, but there's at least a sizable chunk for both.
Yeah.
And you're going to get pushback from the people that are not on the side that we go with, but I think that the answer there is just to be super consistent about it, you know, because otherwise there is no definition. It's, you know, yeah, it's like the only way you're going to get consistency is just to be consistent with whatever the choice is, and just message like language changes. We'd just like to, you know, move this way so we all have one word to say.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. And just so you know, like I think we're Christy, myself, we're doing a keynote at CDCon, so we're gonna, I think, just start kind of trying to get that message across and talk about how we want people to just be consistent and use the terms.
Yeah, I mean, I feel it can feel like an attack sometimes, even though it's not at all intended that way. But I think if you just lampshade that too, like, this is not about disrespecting your expertise, you know, because that was one thing that stood out to me about the discussion about a month ago. Was it was both sides were kind of like, well, the experts say, and it's like, well, we're all experts, you know, or at least trying to be. So yeah, maybe even just lampshading and being like, this is not about, you know, disrespecting anyone's expertise or opinions or beliefs about this. This is just about trying to find common language, and this is the way we're going.
So can I ask what you mean by the, I've just never heard lampshading. Do you mean like
sorry.
just
that might be an American term. Lampshading means to like explicitly call out something.
Okay.
Like as that might be subtext otherwise.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And I think sometimes we don't appreciate that when we're sort of just saying, okay, we're pushing this forward because this makes sense to us, but then people might be taking it as criticism of their approach or the way they see things, which is certainly not the intention.
Okay, I think the terminology thing, you all probably remember the discussions we had on this terminology vocabulary document when we collected all the different terms used by different projects. One of the topics or discussions was like establishing shared terminology, and there were like, I think I remember Ramin was talking about like, is it why we are here? Like, why we, like, should we really think that type of, you know, a bit pessimistic comments? Well, I think if CDF can push on this direction, starting with basic CI or CD terms, that could actually help us to talk to people who have similar thoughts, and perhaps starting in working on shared vocabulary in different or more extensive way, like using pipeline everywhere, for example, just speculating, or using stage everywhere, node everywhere. And especially this, you know, the language reform is going on within all these different communities, like changing the branch names or changing the terms Jenkins uses, for example. So it's about similar thing, you know, finding the right terminology to talk or use. So yeah, that's what I want to highlight, which may be a good, you know, opportunity for actually getting things happening. Okay, so that was definition chapter. So we park that chapter until we get some input or something to reuse from the Tracy's work stream. And you can see the white papers I am still sharing, yeah, because I move around browser windows. Okay. And the next chapter is about what does interoperability mean in CI/CD context. I think this is a key chapter because this is interoperability white paper, and we need to describe what we are talking about here, so people see if this is something they should continue reading, if they should come and contribute. So this is key chapter, and please, like, there is some suggestion here. Please look at it and comment, contribute, improve. Anything you can do would make this white paper what it is about. Any comments on this chapter? Anyone had chance to read it since our last meeting? Again, this looks at what we discussed over the past few months, like these bullet points. Like some people talked about pipeline standardization languages. Others talked about connecting, integrating pipelines. And I think Andreas, Emil, you were talking about this pipeline data for traceability visualization and events in CI/CD. So I think like these could all be considered as things to deal with when we work on interoperability in CI/CD. If there is no comment, I continue moving. And now we have a contribution from our first and only work stream, events in CI/CD, and thanks to Andreas, Emil, and Ravi, and there were some other people. So Andreas, Emil, you want to talk about this contribution?
Sure, yeah. So in our work stream, we iterated on a problem statement which we would like to solve. So the problem which we would like to solve with using events, and then we sat down and discussed how this interoperability can be increased using events. So I would like everyone to read through these 2 paragraphs and give us feedback, also extend it directly. Any feedback is welcome.
Yeah, I also agree very much. So yeah, we have had this some turns now within the work stream, but we would very much like, of course, the rest of the people to also read it at least, and also, of course, come with your contributions, what you think should be mentioned here. And or if you don't agree, of course.
And we still have some wording issues, so some terminology which we are not sure whether we should use it, or how to streamline this in the entire document. So also here, any feedback is welcome. For example, we are not sure whether we call products projects. What's the difference here? Yeah. Basically, this is a single occurrence. Yeah.
As part of that, just wondering, was there already some work done on a glossary? I can't remember, or maybe somewhere else. Is it worth having something like a glossary of what, like you said, project and what these things? Because there are so many different terms and they're overused as well as quite heavily. They can mean different things in different contexts. I don't know if that might be useful as part of this white paper as well as we go along.
I guess that specific item, the product projects discussion, has not been raised, but we have, as you know, I guess this vocabulary document in the SIG, where we define like what is a pipeline, what is a pipeline step or stage, or whatever different tools used to different. Maybe we could add product projects there as well, or it could also be components, or a lot of different names for mostly the same thing, I guess.
Yeah.
I actually I looked in the CNCF landscape, and there is actually a division there where what they call the products projects. That's the same as we have done here. So they actually use both terms there when they want to show different kinds of tools or items, whatever, that you handle when you run your CI/CD pipeline.
So James, are you suggesting we have clarify what a product is versus a project?
Yeah, I think that might help. I mean, where I've come from, I've always had products being something that maybe there's a commercial product from the company. Project would be an open source project which doesn't have commercial targets. For an example.
And then what is an internal piece of thing then that is developed internally but never delivered to a customer? What would you call that thing?
A failure.
No, but just it can be a library or something internal to develop. Yeah.
Yeah. Packages, libraries.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Components, services.
Oh, yeah.
What's an application? Yeah.
I think the CNCF, they were working on what is an application, I think. I don't know how far they got. I know it was going on for quite some time, but it might be worth looking at that as well.
Yeah, that one feels like a whole different can of worms, just because of the whole microservices and configuration management. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it'd be good to actually list out all the things. We just want to be specific of what we're referring to in our context, even if it's not an all-encompassing definition.
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks a lot, Andreas, Emil, again, and to Ravi. But he is not
And also
here,
Matthias really contributed.
Matthias, okay, thanks. Sorry, Matthias missed. You?
Tracy, real quick, that just made me think of something too around communicating language, right? Which is, I think, to the point you're making, like, it doesn't matter how you discuss these terms elsewhere, right? Like, this is our definition of it while you're in CDF space, right? Like, you can talk about CI/CD in any other community that you're talking about this stuff in, but when you're in this space, this is it, right? I mean, similar to that, like, this is what app means in this space, right? Totally.
Yeah, no, I think that will be useful. And I think we need to think about putting together that glossary so that we're saying, okay, we just all need to work together. We need to be clear about what we mean by different things when we're in these working groups. So here's the definitions we're working to. It doesn't mean they're fixed or they won't evolve, but it does mean if we change them, we all agree that things have evolved or the common usage has changed. And so it's just to avoid confusion for us. So yeah, I really like that. And I think we shall see if we can knock together a glossary as part of the CI/CD definition. So just let me know any terms. So I've scribbled down today, product, project, and application. But if there are other things you think,
Service.
Or okay.
Component.
Cool. Anything else?
Okay. So if everyone is okay, we can move to case studies. And now we have James and Cameron are both here. So anything from your side, James, for Jenkins X and Tekton?
Yeah, it's I can probably pick that up now. We've had quite a lot on recently, and the story around there is going to be a lot better. We're actually working on the Jenkins X3. It's currently in alpha, but it's native integration with Tekton and Tekton catalogs. So there's a nicer story, I guess. So kind of slightly dragged our feet, I think, but it's because it's a better story very soon. So I can probably start filling that out within the next week, or certainly by next time, but socialize it within the next week.
So just to capture a Jenkins X native integration to Tekton catalog, you said, James, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Cameron, I think last time you were in the meeting, you were positive about bringing something from speaker community?
Yeah, we were talking with one of our customers, so we should have something coming up. I've been out of town on PTO a little bit, so still catching up on all this. But we should have something soon. I can pull on that thread this week.
Okay, thanks. And when Jeremy was here during last meeting, he talked about having a case study from Zool for a manufacturing company, but he didn't want to spoil their keynote in upcoming Open Infra Summit. So we will ask him again once the summit is over. And the end user. So Dave, thanks a lot for putting your story here, and anything you can tell us about what you put here?
Yeah, so I mean, I just kind of based this off of, I was trying to very much summarize like the presentation I gave a month ago. So yeah, I mean, happy to get feedback on it. This was purely just a draft kind of based on that. Trying to summarize that story. So any feedback people have got, I'd love to work it in, including this is not the right direction. You know, but yeah, just feel free to post in there and let me know what could be better.
Okay, anyone for Dave? Questions? Okay, Emil, anything from you?
Yeah, we're in a review still of this meeting. We need to have it approved before we can bring it out to the public, but it will hopefully come before the next meeting, I would say. Yeah, so it's soon to be there, I hope.
Thanks, Emil. And I think last time, Tracy, you mentioned fintech as one of the industries we could reach out. Did you have any contact?
I do. I didn't follow up on any of those, but I can try again.
Because again, as we discussed during last meeting, now we have Go Spot Check here. It's a different industry. We have telecom, and if we can have like, and then Zool case study would be from manufacturing. I have a guess about which companies, but I am not telling. Fintech would be cool. And the other ideas was like embedded. So if any of you have any contacts who wants to tell their story, just bring them here.
FinTech Capital One are pretty active in CDF. We'll see what we can reach out to a few folks. Actually, questions for Dave. What is Go Spot Check? Are you considered retail? What's your industry?
We're a tech company. Like we provide an application that is used across retail, outbev, facilities management. Like we have customers in many different verticals, but we make an application that is used by other companies to track and analyze like field data, right, about anything to do. So like outbev companies make sure that local liquor stores have the correct promotional stands up, and facilities management companies use it to make sure that rooms are being cleaned to the correct standard, right? Like it's just a data collection tool.
Okay, so it applies to lots of different industries. Yeah,
but I mean, as a case study, it's mostly for a smallish but not 4 people startup, right? Like we're on the lower end of size compared to Ericsson or eBay, but not, a 5-person shop or something.
Yeah, and I think actually that's something I'm hearing repeatedly. People are keen to know the difference between what teams can do and based on size of companies. So it's a big difference for like a 5-person team versus 50 people versus a few thousand. So I think that's a nice distinction to make in the case studies here.
Yeah, and that's why every time I do one of these, and even when I'm like speaking at conferences and stuff, I always mention how big we are, because there is a huge difference between like, we have people who can contribute back to these projects, and I can put 4 people to make our pipeline, versus like, it's me and a guy, and we have to make sure that everyone can deploy, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was all for the time being. So we can either end the meeting early, or if any of you have anything you want to discuss, we can continue. Anyone? Okay, then thank you all for joining, and we will talk to each other next Wednesday and Thursday. Yeah, 7th and 8th. So yeah, Wednesday we will have the SIG Interoperability Birds of Feathers session, and in parallel to that we will have Jenkins X session, and on Thursday we will have MLOps, Tecton, Spinnaker, and Screwdriver Birds of Feather sessions, like interactive sessions, and the rest of the sessions are on the agenda, so you can look at the agenda here, and talk to you on Wednesday and Thursday. If not, our next meeting will be on 15th of October. So until then, take care and have a nice day. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks,
Bye.
Dave.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.